The Separations Division was founded 30 years ago. This year, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary. I'm Ranil Wickramasinghe. I'm chair of the Separations Division. In this short video, we have set up an interview with some of the founders of our division. Judd King is the founding chair of the Separations Division. Jimmy Humphrey is the founding first vice chair of the Separations Division. We also have Rich Noble, who was the founding second vice chair. In addition, John Pellegrino, one of the original directors, joins us, as well as Ed Kussler, who was the initial AIChE board liaison. Bill Koros joins us. He was the second membrane area group chair. D.B. Bhattacharya, who has been a long time a member of the Separations Division and also a very distinguished member. He has won the Gayholt Award, and this year the Founders Award, will chair this session. I hope you enjoy this discussion on the founding of the division and how it was founded 30 years ago, and we look forward to the next 30 years. Thank you.
Boy, Ranil did a great job getting everybody together here, and everybody. But thanks goes to John, actually. He was cleaning up his basement, and he found the first newsletter. Is that right, John? And he sent it to everybody. And then I also went through a lot of pictures from various newsletters. So it's a really pleasure. And I was the chair of the Separations Division, in, I guess, 2010. So 10 years ago, now Ranil. So Judd and Jimmy, of course, you guys were the first original starters. And then Rich Noble and John were the directors, Pellegrino. And of course, Bill Koros was involved with the division chairs. And unfortunately, we lost Neil Yeoman. He was involved as a treasurer from day one, And so Judd, maybe we'll start with you, actually, Obviously, a lot of things went in. I remember going to the meeting. You were excited. You started in the division and AIChE. But we had the same number of groups, actually. We started in the group. And you said somewhere, if I have the thing open here, you said it's a filled-in transition. And the separation field is changing dramatically. And so we have the same divisions, groups, but one name was different, changed actually. General becomes bio, but you had the distillation, absorption, and stripping was there. When did the stripping go away? Do you know, Ranil? It was there.
Yeah.
Original. I don't know who took it out. So, Judd, maybe you can tell us your vision originally. I mean, how you got it started, and then what do you think we should do anything different today?
Yeah. Okay, well, let me try to give just a simple overview. The idea comes from Jimmy. He was the spark plug. He came up with the idea. He approached me to try to interest me in the idea, and it may have taken one or two tries before it took, but it seemed to be a very logical thing to do. And I think it was associated with all the logic that went with the transition from the unit operations organizing principle of chemical engineering to the organizations we have today. Section 2 of the program committee was unit operations at the time. A lot of unit operations are separations. And surely chemical engineering had moved rather well from just the unit operations organizing principle. So to put a program committee division together was sensible. To make it a division of the Institute, like the others that had been started before, and only 2 or 3 had been started before, to make it a division seemed to be a very logical thing to do. So Jimmy and I ran with that ball once I had signed up with him, and went through steps that I would love to have gone through during the last week. to remember, but all of my chemical engineering files have gone to the Bancroft Library of the Berkeley campus and are very inaccessible now because of the pandemic. So I have no files. I have just what's in my head. I do remember signing people up, a first 9 or 10 people who would be the core of the division to show that there was interest, getting expressions of interest from many people, writing a proposal for a division, and ending up with the two of us, I believe it was, Jimmy and me, appearing before the AIChE Council in a final step before it was approved. So those, in a nutshell, are the memories I have of the start.
I'm curious, Ed, were you the president at the time? It was about the time of the president, right?
I was president later.
I do not remember who was president of the Institute at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Jimmy, as an original founder, I think you were the first vice chair. I think Judd was the chair, I guess. So tell us your visions and starting, and what do you think we should go on the same way? Some other things should be added. Any change may require, your opinion.
Well, I can kind of tell you the first time Judd and I discussed the possibility of forming a division was in June of 1989. And we had some concerns at that point that members of the various separation groups might not want to be in a division. They might not think it's a good idea. So we conducted a survey of hundreds of people. And that was, I think it's the annual AIChE meeting in 1989. That's when that happened. And I took a clipboard around and handed it to people and told them what we had in mind and asked them what they thought about the idea and if they wanted to sign up. And we surveyed hundreds of people, and I don't remember one person not wanting to get in the division and have something to do with it. So that was astounding to us because we didn't expect it, or at least I didn't expect it. Judd may have expected it. But anyway, with that information involved, Judd actually was the one that worked more with AIChE at that time to get the new division chartered. And you want to talk about that a minute, Judd, what you had to do with AIChE to get the charter?
I am handicapped by not having my files available on that, as I mentioned. But I do recall having to write a proposal and having to go through a review system that included input from the program committee to the council. I think we had to outline who was interested, sign up a number of people, and demonstrate that there was a true desire to do it, basically. And that's what came from the numbers that Jimmy mentioned from that poll that we sent out. We had a large number of people who signed on right away. And that, I think, is what helped matters greatly for getting council to move so fast on it.
Yeah, it all moved real fast. The whole thing from start to finish took a little bit more than a year. And that was astounding to me that we could get it done that quick. And so anything, right after that, you got the division chartered in 1990. And shortly after that, in 1991, UOP requested that we start a new annual award to be established by the Separations Division. And it was to be named the Clarence Larry Gerhold Award to recognize outstanding contributions by individuals in chemical separations technology. And Larry Gerhold, whose research and inventions in the field of petroleum refining revolutionized the process of making gasoline. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. And he was on hand. He was on hand at the Topical Conference in 1992 AIChE annual meeting in Miami Beach to congratulate Judd, who was selected by the division to be the first recipient of the award. So that kind of tells it the big things that happen real quick, and I was pleased to be part of it.
Yeah, John was a recipient in 1992.
So, Jimmy, do you remember how we signed up that award? Did UOP just come forward with the interest, or was it
I was thinking they might have called you, but they called me and told me on the telephone they wanted to establish this award, and they had the money to pay for it every year.
Mm-hmm.
If I could
So
interject,
is it their initiative?
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
yeah, I have a pretty strong memory that John Sherman, who is a UOP principal scientist, who was in the room at the very beginning when we were having these initial discussions, and he floated the idea to manage his management. They bought into it very quickly. He was a real force behind the initial stages of the division starting, as well as Ken Knable and a number of other folks. So, yeah, he's one of those folks that I was looking for to see if I can get some contact information to forward to Neil or not. But yeah, I think the Gerhold Award was one of his big ideas.
Yeah, you're exactly right, John. That's the way that went. He was a force in the whole thing. Yeah.
So, Rich, you were the second vice chair at that time, okay? So, what about your vision? You have been involved also and going on, a top-notch member in person also. So, how you got involved and what has changed since then?
Yeah, similar to Judd's story, I thought, I must have all these files from when all this started. And because of the pandemic, obviously, getting to the office was not easy. But over the weekend, I thought, I'll go over and, I'll just look everything up. And I've moved my office a couple of times in recent years and, of course, threw out a lot of stuff. So it's all vanished. It's all in recycle someplace. So unfortunately, I couldn't find any of that. I'll give you my sort of general overview, and then I have what's now a pretty funny story about one aspect of this. So when I heard about the separations division, at that time, I was a young, aspiring engineer for the National Bureau of Standards, which is now NIST. And I thought it was a great idea, and, I was willing to participate. And so one of the things about being second vice chair is that as you sort of progress up, you become the program chair. And so your idea is to get programming set up. And naively, I thought that you would just go to this meeting and you would request a certain number of sessions and you would get them. And I went to the most crazy, chaotic meeting with engineers that I have ever experienced in my life. We went to this meeting. The meeting was for a meeting that was going to be in St. Louis. And what they said is, okay, the total number of sessions is going to be, I don't remember, say 220. And you guys are all the program chairs for your meeting. So we're going to throw you in this room for 2 hours, and you're going to decide how it all gets distributed, and you're going to come out at the other end with this. And so we had to do all this horse trading with all of these other divisions at that time to try to co-chair sessions and things, because I can't remember, we originally wanted, let's say, 15 sessions, and we got 5. And so the other sessions, we had to do them by pairing up with other groups. But it was not in any organized fashion. I had to go find person A, see if they're interested in something, and go find B, and then they would come and find me. And somehow after this couple of hours, it came out. But as a group of engineers, it was the most unorganized meeting that I think I ever attended. But it worked. We got the sessions and we got started. The other thing that I think was really helpful in getting stuff off the ground is we had a combined AIChE separations meeting at an AIChE meeting, I think in 1991, something like that.
Thanks.
really allowed the message to propagate outside of AIChE into ACS. And it was very successful. We had a lot of good speakers, and we had a couple of different sessions. And I think that was another thing that helped to really move the separations division along in terms of its publicity and its outreach to all of the constituencies that, if you want to think about it, become part of separations.
Thank you. The horse trading, we still do it today for San Francisco. You have to do that. Let me go to, before you go to John and Bill, let's go to Ed Kostler.